listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com is the email address. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio website where you can find out what we've been up to, what we're doing, and what we will be up to in the very near future, www.xzoneradio.com. And, of course, the X-Zone is heard Monday through Friday right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X. SHARON LENNON is my guest this hour. She is one of the founders of RIP, Regional Investigators of the Paranormal, which was established in 2008. Now, RIP researches the paranormal by doing investigations all throughout the western and central New York area. Besides being a paranormal investigator, SHARON is also a psychic medium, spiritual counselor, and earth angel. Now, as an earth angel, SHARON does God's work here on earth by giving messages, including the ability to open the porthole to heaven and helping the earthbound spirits who want to cross over to do so. She connects with many levels of spirit, including earthbound spirits, or what we call ghosts, guides, and angels, including ascended masters such as Jesus and Archangel Michael. What makes RIP so unique from other paranormal groups, not only because RIP has the ability to cross spirits into heaven, but because RIP is made up of mediums, a psychic, and a sensitive, that they all have the ability to help both sides of a haunting, being able to feel, hear, see, and communicate with the spirits. Joining me now from the beautiful area of Buffalo, New York, not that far from us here in Hamilton, is SHARON LENNON. And SHARON, welcome to the X Zone.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
SHARON, what was it in your past that pointed you towards the work you're doing now with RIP?
I've always been interested in the paranormal ever since I was a child. I mean, I think every kid wants to go to see a ghost story and stuff like that. But I seem to have spirits follow me from little, when I was 11, knocking on my door when I was a child, scaring me, into as a teenager reading books on it, and then finding out as I got an adult watching ghost hunters for religiously and saying, I want to do that. And then I found out that I could actually feel, see, hear, and connect with them. And that's when it really took off.
SHARON, what makes your paranormal team different from the other teams that are out there today?
Well, I like to think it's because we can connect, being mediums, and there's 2 mediums, including myself, and a psychic and a sensitive, and we can all connect in different levels with different spirits, and which is it gives us neat ability because we don't walk in there with a blank slate hoping we get a flashlight to light or something. We can actually get a sense of who's there, get names, and how they passed, and then we confirm it with our equipment, with our cameras or our rods, which will show us a yes or no answer, or with our voice recorders, and we'll get EVPs saying yes or no to our questions that we're getting. So it's a proof, a double proof, meaning, we're not just saying, oh, we're a medium, we feel this. We're proving ourselves with our equipment. So it's really kind of neat.
How long has RIP been in existence?
We've been together since 2008, and we're 4 members strong. We started out with 4 members, and we still have them. And we're not just like we're not just friends. We're like family now, and we get along very well.
SHARON, you and I have to take our first break. Please stand by. X-Zone Nation, SHARON LENNON is our guest this hour. The website is riphaunted.wix.com/RIP. And they also have a blog site that is www.riparanormal.blogspot.com. And SHARON and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Love to hear your emails, X-Zone Nation. Tell us what kind of guests you'd like on, if there's a special topic you'd like us to discuss, or if you have any special questions for any of our guests. Send an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back with SHARON LENNON from RIP Ghost on the other side of this break as we continue from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wiecka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wiecka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information, and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. X Zone Nation, Sharon LENNON is our guest this hour. She is one of the founders of RIP, Regional Investigators of the Paranormal. And once again, their website is riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. And their blog site is RIParanormal.blogspot.com. Now, as a medium and an earth angel, first of all, let me ask you, what is an earth angel? I've never heard this before.
Oh, you never have? Oh.
No.
Well, an earth angel is basically what it is an angel that came down, like my soul is of an angel. Okay, an angel that came down. I'm a physical body. I have a human body. I'm human, but it's my soul is of an angel. But when an angel comes down to do God's work on this plane, we live normal lives just like anybody else. We come to do with trials and tribulations, but what we come down without our wings, and that's how we live this human life. We go through the same things everyone else does, but then as we go along, we try to bring ourselves back to who we really meant to be and what our spiritual walk is doing God's work and what He had planned for us. So you got to find our way back, and I got to the point that I've realized I actually didn't realize I was an angel until about a year and a half ago, and I was always fascinated and had angels all over my house, and every time I see an angel, it was just catch me into my heart. And so when I read Adoring Virtue book about earth angels, I completely connected with it. It was like something went off and a bell rang, and I also hear my angels. So I'm like 85% deaf in my right ear, and I also hear my angels and my guides in my ear. So I'm deaf to the real world, but I have an ear to the other side, as you might say. So there's a big connection with angels with me.
How did you discover you were an earth angel?
Like I said, I was doing medium work, and I found out I had this ability to open the portal to heaven. And it just came across to where being a single mom and having a young daughter at home, I noticed that my house was haunted. And I didn't want my young daughter, to get scared, because I knew that there was a spirit in my attic. And it was a young lady, but she was she had a rough life. I could feel the trauma she's been through. And so I just didn't want her to come down and try to contact me or try to scare my daughter from away. So what happened was I meditated, and I said all these prayers, and all of a sudden I could feel the spirit cross over to heaven. And I'm like I said, with the ability of hearing my angels, my guides in my ears, I asked them, I go, did I help this spirit cross? And they said yes. And so that started with the crossing over spirits. That I was crossing over spirits before I knew it was an earth angel. Then, just like my guides and angels, they won't tell you. They want you to find out for yourself, just like everybody else. I got to go on the path just like everybody else and find my way. And like I said, I just opened this book, and I read it, and I'm like, are you an earth angel? And I'm like, the little questionnaire I got like 100% on. Yes, I feel this. Yes, I do this. And I'm like, that's it. I am, an earth angel. And it's not till last November that it's weird how they said you come down without your wings. And what happens is you can earn them back in this lifetime. And I ended up getting my wings back in November when I was driving down the road, and all of a sudden I felt this presence on my shoulders as if someone put a cloak on my shoulder. And I'm like, my shoulders started tingling, and I'm like, okay, what was that about? I'm just driving down the road trying to go to work like everyone else. And so then my guides and angels kind of like whispered in my ear, those were my wings, and that I had earned them back. And so that was a really wild connection. And I also, while at work, I bent over, and doesn't a feather fall down? The feather, there was, I don't work in a place with feathers. So a feather came down, floated down in front of me as I was bending over, as if between my head and my shoulder, as if it came off of my own wings. And it fell to the ground. And I'm like, wow. And then you always hear, you ever see a feather, your angels are near. Well, I'm like, well, I know my angels are near, but I'm thinking the way it fell between my shoulder and my head, it was almost as if it came off my own wings. So with that, this is another confirmation that I did enough good works here on Earth to earn my wings back. I don't necessarily have physical wings; they're just spiritual things, the spiritual essence of wings, I guess you'd like to say.
So, what special abilities do you have as an Earth angel?
I do connect with, like I said, I connect with many levels of spirit, meaning with earthbound spirits. My angels, my guides, I hear them regularly. Matter of fact, as we're speaking, they're chiming in. I also have a connection with Jesus and Archangel Michael. And with that is most of us, as we go through our lives here, we have angels and guides that help us along our path. Well, I guess I've graduated to a fact that I don't have angels. I do have my angels, but I don't have a personal guide anymore. My guides are the Ascended Masters of Jesus and Archangel Michael. So they're not just my spirit guides; they're everybody's. But because I've graduated to the point that I really don't need a one-on-one spirit guide. I have, a ton of angel support plus Jesus and Archangel Michael.
So why do you think you were chosen to be an Earth angel?
It's like it's not like, I don't know if I was chosen, but it was like who my soul is. So I guess I was born into that. And it's I've always been a type that would walk the good walk. I would, I always went by the book. I never skip a day in school. One of those I don't want lie, cheat, or steal type of thing. And it was always walking on the right path. And I always knew that. And it was funny because as a person, I trust everyone. It was one of those people that just, everyone's like, well, didn't you see that coming if something bad happened to me? I was like, no, I trusted the person, and it's just that type of personality I had. So I knew I was a little different in the way my outlook on life, but I never, I knew I had an affinity towards angels, and then it all dawned on me till, about, like I said, a year and a half ago, that I was an earth angel, and that, but I'm living a life of a human, just like everyone else here on this earth. I know it seems far-fetched. Believe me, it took me a while to understand it, but I got it now.
So how does the earth angel in you work when it comes to doing paranormal investigations? How does this give you an upper hand?
Oh, like I said, I connect with it's funny because I always feel like I'm the Pied Piper of ghosts, because my aura is pretty bright, and spirits can tell when you're a good person or when they can connect with you.
Sure.
They'll seem to follow you home, and I come home from Walmart and they're in my back seat, but I can feel how they passed. I can tell who they are as a person, what they did for a living, and with that, it's like when they follow me home, I know they want to cross, and then I'm like, okay, I can even cross them while I'm driving home, because it gets kind of crazy. My house gets kind of busy with a lot of spirits coming home, so a lot of times I like to keep the house a little clean so I can rest. So, but yeah, I found out that I had this ability, and ever since then it seems to snowball, and I've crossed over thousands and thousands of spirits, and they're not just one at a time. It's like sometimes there's a group of people. They just are together in spirits, and they just, I just cross them over at once.
How do you do that? How do you cross them over?
I don't know. Honestly, what I do is I meditate a little bit with a prayer, and I ask my guides and angels to help, and them to come and help the spirits, not only, but then I feel the light opening, and then it's like a release, and then as they cross, I feel a little bit of a release, and then they cross, and then it closes. The window closes. It's like it's a portal or a window opening, and it's just it's a wonderful feeling, and it's like an uplifting feeling. And once it happens, and everyone can feel it, like I'll have a room full of people if I do this in front of them, and they're like, "Wow, it feels lighter in here," and it does. It's because the portal of heaven just opened, and of course that's a lot of light, wonderful, happy, loving energy, and everyone usually feels a little different once that's done.
But what happens if the person who you're trying to help cross over isn't of the religious belief that there is a heaven or there is a hell?
That happens. They get afraid. They they think they want to go, but they don't know what to do. And I've had a lot where they just I think I want to cross. Yeah, I want to cross. But then when I open up the portal, they're like, okay, maybe never mind. They're afraid of judgment or anything else like that. And I try to reassure them that God is non-judgmental, that where they're going is paradise, where they're going to be healed, their family is. And, because I believe that if God's not going to open up this portal unless, He wants you there. You know what I mean? And it's a good place, and there's no negativity. There's no they can have full facets over there. With earthbound spirits, they rely on energy, and if they run out of energy, they can't necessarily do the things that they would like to do because they're not of the physical body, and they're stuck in this physical realm. So when they cross to heaven, they don't have to worry about having to gear up a lot of energy to move something if they want to, or make a noise, or they are fully healed in heaven. So I try to coax them.
Now, are any of the other members of the regional investigators of the paranormal Earth Angels as well, or are you the only one?
No, I'm the only one. There's another medium, Fred Schreck. He's also a co-founder. We both founded the group. He's a medium also, but everybody's different, and we all have our different abilities. So if he might link up on a spirit with a different name, and we go to these haunted places. There's more than one spirit. Honestly, there's so, and then someone else will catch up on somebody else, and we all have our own abilities, which is neat.
All right, stand by, please, Sharon. Great having you with us. Thank you for sharing your time with us here on the X-Zone tonight. X-Zone Nation, Sharon Lennon is one of the founders of Regional Investigators of the Paranormal in Buffalo, New York. Their website is riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. And we'll both be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerreonian intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerreonian Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerreonian Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com. Nation, Sharon Lennon is our guest this hour. She's one of the founders of RIP, Regional Investigators of the Paranormal, in Buffalo, New York. They were established in 2008. And once again, the website is riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. Now, Sharon, how is it that these spirits, or these earthbound spirits, know that you have the ability to get them across? And how do they find you?
I think it's like I said, I think I emit a bright light. Honestly, and earthbound spirits were just once you and I, who passed on, but didn't cross to heaven. So they end up losing the light and getting stuck. But they do have abilities of psychic abilities too, and they see auras, and they can tell who they like and who they don't like. And I don't see my own aura, but I've been told I have a bright golden aura, and with that they might construe, being able to help them cross. So they come to me, they follow me home. Like I said, I've had spirits travel miles and find their way, because I've had it was a airplane crash, and not far from our house, so I'd say about 10 miles. And the victims that passed end up finding their way to my house. I don't know how, but they did, and I end up crossing them. And not all of them, but I'd say about a handful, 5 of them. And honestly, because I'd never been to the crash site, so I wasn't there, but they found their way to my house.
How has your work in the paranormal affected your religious beliefs, if any?
Yes. Yes. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And that's, how did it affect it? Well, I never was really connected to any religion. I was born and raised Catholic, but I was never connected to it. I went to a Catholic school for 8 years. It was like, I did what I was supposed to do because I took the classes and I did real good. But going to church was really hard for me. I really never wanted to or liked to go to church, and I don't know why. It just didn't settle well with me, because they, it's like, be careful, because the fear, it struck the fear of God, and you don't do that, or and I never could swallow the fact that God was mean or vengeful or revengeful. I always knew that God was good and loving, so that didn't sit well with me. So as I grew up, I went on being an adult and finding my own way, and I kind of found my spiritual path, different religions I went through, and then I just found out that I'm more spiritual, and I connect in a different way to God, and I found it through just my workings here on this earth.
Exonation Sharon Lennon is our guest. She is with Regional Investigators of the Paranormal in Buffalo, New York. The website is riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. Now, how did your first investigation change your outlook towards your abilities and the paranormal, Sharon?
Oh, yes. I remember my first investigation very well, because it was like I knew I had abilities, but I didn't know how to connect with these spirits' abilities until I went on my first investigation. It was with a different group, and we sat there, and the one girl, she had abilities too, and she was getting some things, and I sat next to her. She was, Sharon, are you getting any names? And I got the name Andrew. And I'm like, I go, Andrew. And she was using divining rods, and I don't know if you know about divining rods,
sure.
So yes and no answer. So she was using divining rods. She goes, is your name Andrew? And they went, yes. Well, not only later on, I had a voice recorder, and I'm listening to my EVPs, and I heard the name Andy. And I'm like, it just proved the name I got, Andrew, was the spirit I was connected to. He said his name was Andy. And I also felt a connection, he had an affinity to the kitchen, and he was like, they like to stay there because there's a lot of energy. So I could tell he kind of was following me around, and I don't know if he was connecting me with something with me or what, but I also I could feel him following me around. So then all of a sudden I heard on the EVP, this girl's with me. And so that connected me another way. It's like, wow, I really did feel that spirit was following me around. And he voiced it on the EVP, which is proof, and he also said his name was Andy. So that was like, I was so blown away by that. It was like, wow, I really connected with this spirit. And so from then on, I was hooked. And I was like, I got to help more and more spirits. And
how do you and the members of RIP handle skepticism? Because not everybody's a believer.
Oh, right, exactly. I get it. My best friend is a skeptic, and I'm just I don't try to make them believe. Because if it's not their choice to believe, I'm fine with it. But when you see what we have and the evidence we get with that there is life beyond death, that our soul goes on, and some get stuck, which then there are earthbound spirits, or you want to call them ghosts. But that's what I feel like I'm here for. So that's why what's kind of neat about our group, we not only see and feel, and you don't have to just believe what we say.
Sure.
We get on the rods, but then we have the EVPs that show us. We have a video evidence that show that we are actually, there's spirits there and they're communicating with us.
What do you do with this evidence? What is the use of gathering evidence?
I don't know. I think it's just for the maybe it's just proof to show that what we do is real, and it helps us know that we're actually connecting with these spirits. We're seeing them, we're feeling them. I felt a tap on my foot, and then we get this video evidence of an orb coming right off my foot, and I'm like, it was a spirit. It wasn't just me saying, "Oh, look at that." I had video evidence of something physical that happened to me. Show up on a video. So
yeah, but no disrespect here, Sharon.
Sure.
The orbs are a topic of great controversy within the paranormal community.
I agree. Everyone says they're dust. Okay, yes, I agree. Some may be dust, but when you see an orb that has a distinct line of pattern, and it's brighter than normal, because orbs are energy, the spirit energy of the spirit, the soul energy. So dust will not create their own light. And if you see a speck, and it's just a faint little, circle, and it's just floating down, okay, that's dust. But if you see a bright light, a bright round orb, and it's flying up, and where there's no air, everyone's sitting, there's no windows open, and it's flying up and down and tapping people or going around, there's no doubt. That's a soul's energy. And I know there's skeptics with the orbs, and it's really hard, to prove. And I'm not going to make anybody. I'm not trying to make anyone a believer,
Sure.
But I'm just showing that when I feel a bump on my foot, and you see an orb coming from my foot, which is on the ground, and going up, which dust usually falls down, and it's white, that shows you something.
But
I've also had orbs. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask you if it could also be a matter of your own perception.
Yep, of course, everyone has their own perception. But when you have an orb like hitting a table and bursting out in a bright light, okay, dust doesn't do that.
No, but moisture does.
Well, in a building when it's not raining,
Definitely, there's always moisture in the air.
Right, but it doesn't. You don't see moisture on a camera. How often do you get moisture on a camera? Hit a table in bright light. I've never seen moisture hit a table with a bright light. Because what happens? Well, I'm like I said, I'm not going to make anyone a believer. Everyone's going to have their own perception. But to me, when you see a indoor building, no windows, an orb come down, hit a table, and there's a flash of bright light. To me, that's the spirit hitting the table, and that the energy from the spirit created that light. So, like I said, everyone has their own beliefs and perception, and I'm not going to try to persuade anybody. But I've had so many orb videos where there's I was in a theater, and there's tons of orbs coming out of the theater seats. Now they're coming upwards. There's no air conditioning. It's an old theater because there's no vents. It was winter, so the heat was shut off. Actually, we're all bundled up, and we weren't even in the area, so we didn't create any, air flow. And all these orbs you could see them one by one popping out of the theater seats, and it looked like invisible people throwing popcorn. Honestly, it's the weirdest thing. You just see all these bright lights popping out of the seats going upwards.
Now, when you're videoing this, what settings do you have your equipment on?
We just have your basic infrared cameras, and so they're stills. They're not stills, still cameras. They're not, motion. They're not moving back and forth.
But
They're
the
just set on-
videos you take, what kind of cameras do you use, and what settings are they at?
Like I said, they're security cameras with infrared.
So they're just over the counter
yes.
DVR cameras.
Yes.
Okay, so they're not very high quality resolution cameras.
No, they're pretty good quality. We're actually we just bought a whole new set of cameras too,
Okay.
so which was with a higher quality. The ones that are older ones, they're not as good, but as far as the high quality, but
you're still using industrial
Yes.
quality. Okay, great. Have you ever come across a negative or ill-tempered spirit?
Oh, yes. You always get one, and I definitely feel when they're around, it's like my joints start hurting, and my calves are seizing up, and but half the time they're just really negative or cranky or just ill-tempered. They're not, there's a difference between a negative spirit and a demon. There's definitely, because a negative spirit is just someone that's earthbound, cranky, and just has an negative attitude towards life.
So how do you, why do these spirits stay behind? Why don't they cross?
A lot of spirits feel like they have unfinished business, or they didn't do something, and maybe they feel like they don't connect with they're afraid to be judged, and they felt they did do something right on earth, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to.
All right, so let's just take a look at this for a second. They're afraid to cross because they may have done something wrong during their time living, and they don't want to cross because of the fear of judgment. Well, doesn't the Bible and other religious organizations tell you that, all is forgiven?
Yeah.
When you pass?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, it does. Well, some do. I mean, you figure some of these, depending on what they believe. There was like, you better be careful. You're not gonna go through those pearly gates. You're going to have the, St. Peter's going to stand there with his, going to overlook your lake and stuff like that. So a lot of them fear that. They're fear that they're just going to be rejected.
And yet, when people have near-death experiences, no matter of what their past, they know that there's nothing to fear from death, and that they will be joining their families in a place that many call heaven.
Right, and what it stems from is a belief too. So when you pass with this belief that you're going to be judged, and you're not going to, not going to go to the pearly gates, and you're not going to make it into heaven, that's exactly, your perception is what's holding you back. So no matter what happens, you pass on, you see the light, and you're saying, well, I'm not headed toward that light because I feel that I don't know what's beyond that light. Because they weren't told, especially people not so much nowadays, but I'm talking like people from early 1900s, 1800s. If I go into a cemetery that has old gravestones from early 1900s, 1800s, I feel a ton of energy. That tells me that there's a lot of earthbound spirits still connected to their bodies in that graveyard. And then I drive around and I go to a newer cemetery, a lot less energy. Because nowadays it's a little bit readily known that God is all forgiving,
but going into cemeteries, going out into haunted houses where the souls of the deceased are either walking, roaming, or haunting, to interact with them, isn't this a little bit of showing disrespect towards the dead?
Oh, not that necessarily. No, if you go in with the intent to aggravate them, to disrespect them, we walk in with the utmost respect for the owner of the building and the spirits. We come in, we tell them, we're here to speak and communicate with you. We're here to help you. If you want to cross over, we can help you with that. And we help even the homeowner know who's there and why they're there or why they're still stuck. And honestly, that's probably why we get we do get a lot of evidence, and we do get a lot of interaction with the spirits. And we help a lot of people, and that's because, like I said, we go in, we try to create peace for both sides of the situation, for the spirit side and for either the homeowner or the business side. We connect with both sides.
What do you think the attraction is to the paranormal in society these days?
I think it's the unknowing. I think paranormal is very
trendy.
A big subject. Yeah, trendy. I mean, people want to be scared, but honestly, it's not. I mean, it could be scary depending on what different investigators want to do. Sometimes they open portals with using Ouija boards, which is not necessarily good, or then they bring through things that they don't want to deal with, which is negative spirits or even demons, because they're opening a door. Or, it's a fear factor. And it's not, sometimes you can, unless you know what you're doing, it's, you can be walking on thin ice. If you just let's go to this haunted place, and then you have a nasty or dark spirit follow you home. And, that's happened. So,
I used to have that happen to me when I was younger. I'd go to a bar, get loaded, and I have an ugly spirit follow me home. But I send her home the next morning, and everything was great after that. All right, stand by, Sharon. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation, Sharon LENNON is our very special guest this hour. She is the co-founder of RIP, Regional Investigators of the Paranormal in Buffalo, New York. They've been investigating the paranormal as a team since 2008. Visit their website, riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. And this is the very first time in 25 years doing this show that we've had an Earth Angel on. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement. These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Sharon Lennon is my guest this hour, Exonation. www.riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. Based on the investigations that you've done over the years since 2008, Sharon, what is the most dramatic or compelling evidence that you have received?
I'd like to think it is, though, me and my fellow investigator were in a barn, and I had a figure jump down in front of me and show itself on an IR camera, which everything is like usually black and white or greenish, and you could see almost like horns coming down. And it jumped down in front of me, a blast of light came off, and then it scurried back towards the other way that it came from. It seemed to as if to try to scare me or something. Honestly, it was dark. I couldn't see it. I could feel something there. But we're sitting in the dark, and, my physical senses, your eyes and ears, nose, were just, we could smell something really pungent in there. We walked upon an area with dead bugs, or we're worried. It's like, what type of spirit's up here? And then we get this video evidence of something jumping down in front of me, and which was astounding. I mean, when I seen it, I had to replay it back and forth a couple times, like, okay, was that what I think I was seeing jumping down? So that was really profound. That night of investigating was really, we had a lot of things going on, and a lot of it we didn't know until we started actually rolling back the cameras and finding out what we got.
Sharon, what are your final thoughts for the Exxon Nation listening tonight around the world about the world of the paranormal and spirits, ghosts, and things that go bump in the night?
We are souls that go on after death, and that's the big thing, and that when some of them get lost, and they just try to find a way, and sometimes we hear a knock in our attic, or we might see a shadow in our corner of our eye, and no, you're not probably crazy. It's probably someone that's still stuck in this realm, in your house or your basement or wherever, and that they're not necessarily bad. They're just a little lost, and that we can help. And I'd like to try to help as many spirits as I can cross to heaven, and I think that's my duty here on earth, as one of my earth angel duties that God's given me. So,
well, let's say somebody lives in an area that you cannot access. How can somebody who believes in their heart of hearts that they have someone in their home who hasn't crossed, how can they help them cross? They
can try, first of all, to say prayers, and that might help them. I don't know if they'll actually know if they cross. Maybe it'll feel better. Light a candle, say a prayer. If they want, they can also contact me. I can do it remotely also. So I don't necessarily have to, if it's in the middle of the country, if they could just send me a picture of their house, I can actually, it doesn't have to be a address. I need a picture of the outside of the house. I can actually go remotely and help them cross also.
Sharon, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great talking to you. And Exonation, if you'd like more information on Sharon Lennon and the regional investigators of the paranormal, visit their website at www.riphaunted.wix.com/RIP1. I'll be back on the other side of the news at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.